It's a story that's never been told in such depth. Over the last 45 years, almost half a century, a man named Steve Twist has made a profound impact on criminal justice here in Arizona. Our state is one of the most punitive in the country. Critics say Twist has stood in the way of many reforms. At the same time, Twist was a national trailblazer in giving rights to crime victims. Reporter Nicole Santa Cruz of ProPublica tells the story of the man critics call the invisible hand. She joins us now. Welcome to Square Off.
Thanks. Happy to be here.
Now, you got started on this story. You're an Arizonan. I don't know if you knew much about Steve Twist. So tell us why you decided to do this.
Yeah, so I actually, I had never heard of Steve Twist, but I started talking to people in the criminal justice kind of arena about the issues in Arizona, and over his name kept on coming up. And then I thought, you know what, I got to find out who this guy is. So, yeah.
And the thing about Steve Twist is people like me who cover politics know him, people in criminal justice know him. Folks out there just don't, I've never heard of the guy. Who does he work for? How does he do what he does?
Yeah, so Steve Twist is Vice President for Services Group of America. It's a food service distribution and marketing company. He also is an adjunct law professor at ASU. He's a nationally recognized victims' rights advocate and pioneer in that world. And he also advocates for the causes that he believes in.
And he worked in the Attorney General's office many years ago and did run for Attorney General.
Yes, he was Assistant Attorney General.
At one point lost. Yeah. As far as I know, he's never prosecuted a case, though.
He, I believe he oversaw prosecutions.
But never in court himself. And he ran against Grant Woods in 1990, and you interviewed the late Arizona Attorney General last year before he died. Woods defeated Twist in the primary. Here's what Grant Woods said, and this is a view very widely held. Quote, Twist decided very early in his life that the best way to provide public safety is to figure out who is committing crimes and to lock them up as long as you can, and I don't think he's really changed that much. How do we see that play out in criminal justice here in Arizona today?
I think we see it play out whenever there are significant changes to the laws that he helped shape. The criminal code, 1994's truth in sentencing, we see him kind of working behind the scenes to basically lobby against any sort of changes to, I guess, what you could call his legacy.
And so you bring up the story of Josh Tate, I believe a Sierra Vista man, and his family, who was sentenced to 10 years in prison. He was a drug addict, and he stood to benefit from legislation that was moving through the Arizona legislature. Tell us what Steve Twist did to make sure that didn't happen.
Yeah, so Joshua Tate would have gotten out of prison early, about a year early, if this legislation ended up passing. So he would have been one of the first to kind of benefit from this legislation. And what happened behind the scenes, it sounds like, is Twist he wrote lawmakers advocating against the reform. He distributed a list of concerns with the legislation, and it sounds like he worked behind the scenes and activated his network to make sure that this reform didn't go anywhere.
And this isn't the only time that's happened at the Capitol. And you point out there's a price to be paid for this kind of obstruction. And in this case, this was a bipartisan bill, Republicans, Democrats. And you point out there is a price to be paid by all of us. What is that?
Yeah, so Arizona spends, I believe it is the fourth highest portion of its budget on corrections in the nation. So yeah, we're spending a lot of money to keep people locked up.
Now, Steve Twist has never been elected to anything. So what is his power base? What is his leverage over lawmakers? And he has connections all the way up to the governor's office. What's his power, his special power?
Well, I think because of his history in Arizona, I mean, Steve Twist is a remarkable person. He helped rewrite the 1978 criminal code, and he's been working behind the scenes for decades now. That gives him authority when it comes to criminal justice issues in Arizona. He's seen, he was called the godfather of the sentencing code by one person in my article. And I know that he is seen as a gatekeeper in the legislature. If you want to work on criminal justice reform, then you go and you talk to him.
Has anybody ever said no to Steve Twist, as far as you could tell?
Well, it sounds like Walt Blackman has repeatedly tried to get sentencing reform passed in the legislature, and it has not passed. So.
State Representative Republican Walt Blackman. We have to note that Steve Twist is a national figure and really a trailblazer when it comes to victims' rights. He's been honored by the Department of Justice for his work. What has he done in that area?
So in 1990, he wrote a constitutional amendment called the Arizona Victims Bill of Rights that guaranteed certain rights, like victims being able to be present in the courtroom when a case was ongoing, a criminal case was ongoing. So he's really pioneered and fought for the rights of victims nationally. Now there are 34 constitutional amendments in the states for victims' rights. He is seen as just one of the, I guess one of the leaders in this space.
Really the father of this movement, you could say. So, did Steve Twist talk to you for this story?
He did not speak with us for this story. No, he did not comment.
And that's not unusual. He just doesn't speak very much. And his influence extends to this day. He is campaign chairman for Annie Foster, Republican running for Maricopa County Attorney, who is Doug Ducey's chief lawyer in the governor's office. It's an outstanding piece of journalism headlined The Invisible Hand of Steve Twist. I urge you to read it at ProPublica.org. Nicole Santa Cruz, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.